Hey everyone, welcome to this light gray contact lenses collection video. So I'm going to show you all the light gray contacts that I've reviewed on my channel so far. All of these lenses will look fantastic if you have very dark brown eyes. They are all highly pigmented and they will dramatically change the color of your eyes, make them pop. And I find that really light lenses give you a very exotic look, especially if you have a darker skin tone, like a tan or olive skin tone. And they give you a very seductive and sultry kind of look, very intense look. So let's get going with this collection. First up is ColorCL Siesta Creamy Gray. This gray lens is pretty unique, I think, because it's very light and extremely pigmented. However, I really like the patterning of it. I really like the patterning of the creamy line from ColorCL. It is true to its name. It's creamy. So that means there is absolutely no pixelation whatsoever in this lens, even when you come right up close. And I really like that. To me, it just looks more natural and more blended. The color is really pretty as well. Even though the name of it is light gray, it has quite a blue undertone, especially from a distance. If you look at how these lenses look from a distance, they have kind of like a really light, pretty blue, almost lavender-ish undertone to them. So I think that's also really unique about these lenses. This line also has a standard size pupil hole that is very feathered, so less of a bug eye effect. And then these are kind of like Hidrocor style. There is no limbal ring around the edge. So if you're not a fan of limbal rings, then I think you'll really like this creamy gray color. And in terms of color gradient, it's a very simple color gradient. There's really no changes. It is just one standard solid color. So all in all, I think this is a great light gray lens. Next up is ColorCL Siesta Creamy Luna. This is very similar to the previous contact that we just took a look at. It's the same patterning, same design, it's in the same line. However, the color is different. It is a lighter gray, more of an ice gray, more of a white gray, I guess. And so it's going to make your eyes look even more light and pop even more if that's the specific color you're looking for, and it's a much cooler toned gray. So again, I think that the design of creamy is excellent, especially for such a pigmented contact such as this. And again, look at how fine the print is, especially up close, and notice that you don't see any pixelation whatsoever. That is absolutely amazing. Next up is ColorCL Siesta Romance Dian or Diane. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's spelled like Diane but without any E. So this lens is very different from the last two that we looked at. It's part of the Romance line, and this line is a lot more intense. There's a lot more patterning and activity going on with these lenses. And they are, if you noticed, very enlarging because they have a prominent limbal ring. All Romance lenses have this. So if you like the baby doll look with rounder, bigger eyes, then you'll love this Romance Diane. I'm just going to say Romance Diane. In the center, it's like, almost looks like a white color. But again, very transparent. So it's a white, grayish, very cool toned color, and then it gradually fades out into a light blue, very pretty light blue, light gray blue, and then it goes into a more darker, stronger blue, and then it finally ends off with a really soft gray limbal ring. And overall, these contacts are a beautiful pair of blue-gray contacts that are also enlarging, and the Romance line is very flattering on a lot of people. On me, they look a little bit too large, and I think that's because my irises are smaller than average, But on people with normal size irises and very, very dark brown eyes, the Romance line looks amazing. All of the colors, and it's one of ColorCL's best-selling lines. So I thought I would just definitely throw this color in there. I think it's their lightest gray in the Romance line. All the lenses that I mentioned are available in ColorCL's monthly gray series edition. So they sell a monthly pack that has 5 best-selling gray lenses in it, and they sell it for $25 US. So for 5 pairs of monthly lenses, it's only $25 US, and then if you use my discount code Danica10, you can save 10%, so you're gonna get it for $22.50 US. So that's a really, really good deal and extremely affordable. Next up is ColorCL Siesta Original Cream, and this was actually one of Siesta's best-selling lenses. I'm not sure if it is anymore, but I know it definitely was back in the day. So as you can see, this lens is very bright, very pigmented, very intense, and again, it's another cool toned gray lens, almost like a white gray. It's very, very simple in design. Again, no limbal ring. The pupil hole is a standard size. It looks a little bit feathered, and the patterning is a little bit different than the creamy lenses. So this patterning has a lot of play up with transparency, and they actually made streaks in the patterning, as you can see, and they changed the transparency to make it look like there are streaks, to give it a more natural look and more texture, and to look more like a natural iris. So, and again, it's very, very simple color design. There's really no other colors going on aside from this cool toned light white ice gray look. These look very, very similar to Solotica Ice, which we are going to be looking at shortly here, and they are actually a dupe in my opinion, and I did an entire comparison video on my channel comparing this color to Solotica Ice, and they almost look identical. Next up is ColorCL Siesta Bliss Angel. So again, these are extremely intense and enlarging lenses. The Bliss line is again another enlarging line from ColorCL, but the design is a little bit different than the Romance. The pupil hole is less blended. It's more of a sharp and blunt pupil hole, which some people prefer, especially if you have very, very dark brown eyes. I think you can pull this pupil hole off. I really, really love the patterning of Bliss. It is so intricate. There's so much going on. It reminds me of space, actually, the patterning, like galaxies and exploding stars and stuff like that. It's just such an intricate and pretty pattern, and it's like, again, it looks streaked to mimic an iris, but there's so much play up with opacity, and the color gradient is a little bit varied with this. And then of course it's finished off with a soft black limbal ring, but it's still quite an intense limbal ring. So these lenses are really going to frame, define, and enlarge your eyes. I think this is one of ColorCL's best-selling lenses right now. So I definitely wanted to include this in my light gray lenses collection video. Next up is ColorCL Sahara Rose. This is actually one of their newer collections. So again, this is a very, very light ice gray, and this is their most pigmented lens that I've reviewed so far. So if you really want a very, very high pigment lens that is for sure going to show up as an ice gray on your very dark brown eyes, this is probably your best bet. In the center, it is quite a blunt pupil hole again, and I think it's a little bit smaller. So if you like smaller, tighter pupil holes, this is another lens to look at. And then the color is very, very solid, highly pigmented. You don't see any pixelation at all. There's no changes in opacity, no patterning, no striations. It's just literally a solid ice gray color. And then around the edge is a thick, very thick, but it's less pigmented limbal ring, so it's more softer looking, but again, it's still a very, very thick limbal ring. It's still really going to define your eyes and make them look bigger. So all of these lenses from ColorCL you can also buy individually. They retail for $15 US per prescription pair. They all last 6 months, and if you use my discount code Danica10, you can get them for $13.50 US. Next up is Solotica Hidrocor Ice. So as you can see, this is again, ice, hence the name, it's ice gray. And it, again, like I was saying, looks very similar to ColorCL Original Cream. However, I think it's just a few shades bluer, just very, very slight though difference in color. And it pretty much has the same pattern as the Original Cream. It's got a lot of play up with transparency and opacity to create that streaked look and to make it look like more of a natural iris. No limbal ring because it's hydrocore, and then you'll notice that the pupil hole is a starbursty blended style, and I really, really prefer that style. I think it just looks more natural, less bug eye effect, and again, solid color gradient, not much play with color. It's pretty much one color. Definitely gonna throw the Solotica Ice in. Let's move on to the other Solotica pair that I wanted to show you guys. Next up is Solotica Rio Parati. So this looks very, very similar to Solotica Ice. I think it's lighter though, and I think there's less undertone of blue, and it's more so a white gray. So it is a pure white gray, very, very intense contact, very highly pigmented, but again, I really, really like the patterning of it. It's really difficult to design light lenses that don't look fake, and Solotica did a really great job of still having a light lens but making it look as realistic and natural as possible. That's because they did this streaky transparency pattern that I've been talking about in this entire video. And then again, the pupil hole is very, very well designed. It's very feathered. It's that starbursty style to help with the blending and help mitigate that bug eye effect. And again, this is in their Hidrocor collection, so there is no limbal ring and it's not going to enlarge in your eyes at all. Overall, I think that the Ice and Parati are well designed in terms of realism. They are both good quality light gray lenses. You can get Solotica lenses either on lens.me or Vision Marketplace. I have coupon codes for both that will save you 10%. They work out to the same price. So I'll put my coupon codes for you down in the description, as well as links to these lenses. Next up is TTDEYE Queen Gray. This was one of TTDEYE's best-selling lenses. So, up close, it is a smaller pupil hole but blunt, not feathered or blended. Looks to be again that white ice gray color. Not really any blue undertones to this one. Almost looks like there's a slight minty green undertone. And then again, it's designed in a hydrocor style, so there is no limbal ring. And it's a pretty simple design. In my opinion, this lens is too pixelated for me up close, and I just think that you can find better for the same amount of money. But I wanted to throw this in there just in case you're a huge TTDEYE fan. And again, it does fit the color scheme of this video. Next up is TTDEYE Polar Lights Blue Gray. So this looks very similar to the Queen Gray. There's just a few differences though. It has a larger pupil hole. It looks like slightly feathered. And the color is a little bit different. There's a little bit of changes in the color gradient. In the center, it looks kind of like that minty gray, but then it fades out into a more ice gray. So there's a little bit of play up with the color gradient. And then again, no limbal ring. So from a distance, these lenses look great. They make you look very exotic. They really make your eyes stand out. And again, from a talking distance or normal distance, they look a little bit more realistic. However, up close, you do see the pixelation, and then You do see the pupil hole and stuff like that. But if you're not too concerned about that and you more just want the intensity and you want more dramatic and you just want super light eyes that are going to stand out, then I think that you'd be very happy with TTDEYE Polar Lights. Next up, we have TTDEYE Polar Lights Gray. I actually really like this color. It's more of it actually looks more blue than the blue gray, which doesn't really make sense. I felt like the Polar Lights blue gray looked more kind of greenish, but this Polar Lights gray actually looks more blue gray. So I really like the color of it. I like the slight blue undertone, so it's like a white ice blue. And the pupil hole again is a little bit larger. It looks a little bit feathered, and then you do see some slight streaks in the patterning to mimic an iris, so that does add a lot to the realism of these lenses. So I think that if you're debating between the Polar Lights Blue Gray and Polar Lights Gray, I think that you would like the gray better. To me, it just looks a little bit more realistic. So all TTDEYE lenses are yearly lenses, and they usually retail for around $35 to $40. And if you use my discount code LyraScotch with a Z, you can save yourself 10%, and I will link these pairs below for you. Next up is Hapa Kristin Rock and Roll Kristin Blue. This is one of my most favorite light gray contacts, and that's because it looks very realistic, especially given the fact of how light these lenses are. So these lenses have an open pupil hole design, which means that the pupil hole is a lot larger, it's more blended, more feathered, and to me that means that there's no bug eye effect, and if there's no bug eye effect, then the lenses look a lot more realistic. So that's why I really like these lenses so much, because there's really no bug eye effect. And again, I really like the color of them. They are a very light, again, ice gray color with a little bit of a blue undertone. And in the center, the inner ring, it's actually kind of a little bit yellow. So it's like very slight and subtle, though you'd have to look really close to see. And then these are hydrocor style, so no limbal ring, so they're not going to enlarge your eyes. From a distance, they look stunning and fantastic, and there is definitely enough pigment there to change a very dark brown eye. However, if you have medium brown eyes and you're just trying to scout out light gray lenses that are going to look as real as possible, I really think that you'll like this Hapa Kristin Rock and Roll Blue. On my medium brown eyes, in my opinion, they are the most realistic of all these lenses I'm showing you. Hapa Kristin offers monthly lenses, and if you use my discount code Danica10, you can get them for around $23 US per prescription pair. Last but not least is Olen's Scandi Light Gray. Okay, I'm gonna take back what I said about the Hapa Kristin. I think that of all the gray lenses I'm showing you, these ones are definitely the most realistic ones. And again, that's because of the open pupil hole design, less bug eye effect, but they added this golden yellow color around the inner ring, around the pupil hole. So that is there to blend with a brown eye. It really helps with how realistic these lenses look. So after that cool golden yellow inner pupil hole ring, it fades out into a very light, true gray color. I don't see any blue undertone in this gray. It's literally a white ash gray color. And then it's finished off with a soft dark gray limbal ring. However, these lenses are a little bit transparent, and it's actually your limbal ring that comes through, and that's why it appears darker on the outside. I love the entire Scandi collection from Olen's. It's extremely realistic and well designed, and I think they did an amazing, fantastic job creating a light gray lens that looks this realistic. Olen's offers monthly lenses. I think they're on par with Hapa Kristin in terms of price. You can get them for around $20 US. And my discount code is Danica10. Sometimes it's active, sometimes it's not. Just give it a try. If you guys want me to do any other kind of compilation style videos like this, focusing on a specific color, let me know in the requests below. I would love to make it for you. Also, check out my most natural gray contacts lenses video. It's my video where I talk about my most favorite gray lenses that look the most realistic and natural. I will link it at the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!